Good evening, everyone. How is everybody doing?
Doing great, Dr. Doom.
Right. Okay.
Great. I appreciate everybody's time. We're starting a little bit late, but we're doing some behind the scenes stuff. So I think we should be good to go now. Finally, give me a second. So this is going to be our very first edition of the arena, and it's going to be fun. So kindly stay tuned. This is where you come to practice your cybersecurity GRC interview skills. And we are going to be having this every Thursday. It's going to be Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on School. So the link for School is also going to be posted tonight, so you can join as well. And Michael is going to be the one running the show today. And we have some judges that we're also going to name. And everybody else is also going to be a judge in their own way. So you are going to also be grading. We'll show you the grading rubric for the interviews that we are going for the interview that we are going to go through. We are doing one tonight, and I'm trying to find Victoria. Victoria, if you are on here, kindly raise your virtual hand, and I'm going to pin you before we start. Kindly give me a second, and you can put where you're joining us from in the chat. You can also put hashtag Team Live in there for certification renewal. But kindly give me a second, and we'll start right. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for that little wait. So we are ready to go. Uh, and tonight we are going to be doing, or this is going to be our first edition of the arena, the GRC arena, GRC Cybersecurity Interview Arena. And we are going to go through the different levels of interviews that you are going to encounter. And then we will jump into some of the questions and the grading rubric. And then we are going to have some, very brave volunteers to step into the arena, at least one or two people to step into the arena. We do just a quick 3 or 4 questions, and then our judges will give their take, and just to let you have a feel of what the arena is going to entail, right? And for everybody who's going to an interview, if you have an interview coming up or you just want to prep, before an interview, because the best time to prep is before you have an interview coming up, right? So that is what we are going to go through. I'm going to go ahead and do some housekeeping, and then Michael will come in and do some review over, how this whole thing is going to go tonight, right? So you are very much welcome. I appreciate your time, and sorry for that little wait. So we are jumping in time now. So you are welcome if this is the first time you are joining us for Cyber Chat. This is Eretmis Cyber Chat. We do this every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. And this is a new program that we are not Cyber Chat, but what we are doing tonight is a new program that is going to be a reoccurring program on every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And what we are going to do in this program is to prep you for cybersecurity GRC interviews by, creating that environment, you going through actual interview questions, answering your questions, and then we have judges who are going to, rate how you did and give you some really good feedback. And all these judges, they've been through the process, right? They are working in the cybersecurity space, and they just didn't get there because the job was handed, was handed on a silver platter to them. They actually put in the work. They went to the interviews, and they're on the other side. So at least they'll be able to advise you accordingly. Some of these judges are also working in managerial, positions, so they also do interview people on the job. So they are bringing all that in there, and then occasionally we are going to have some HRs also, HR and hiring managers come through and then also give their take as well. So you are very much welcome. This is the very first, session that we are going to be having, but everything else is going to move into school on Thursdays. And I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu, a former United States Army captain, a PCI QSA, and also the founder of Eretmis Academy, member of the Forbes Technology Council, and a former professor at University of Maryland Global Campus. And I'm also the CEO of Eretmis Inc. We are a PCI QSA company and a cybersecurity consulting firm based out of New York. And I love to mentor, teach, and help everyone in the cybersecurity space and career switchers who are looking to break into the cybersecurity space and AI as well. So Eretmis Academy, we are authorized partners with CompTIA, and what that means is that we have a 20% discount for all exams that you want to take with CompTIA. You'll be able to get a 20% discount. So you can reach out and we will show you how you are going to get a 20% discount. And yes, and there are some folks trying to join, so sorry for that. Now, also, if you're looking to renew your certification in cybersecurity, one of the best ways is to do use continuous educational points, and that is simply by attending sessions like this. Every 45 minutes will count as one CPE or CEU. For certification renewal. So if you are in here, just type in the hashtag Team Live, and you'll be able to take a screenshot of that and use that for certification renewal. Now, also, we have a WhatsApp group. The link is going to be posted. So if you're looking to join our community and to share in the cybersecurity knowledge and to grow, we encourage you to do so. School is where we are going to be doing this program, moving forward. So the registration link is going to be posted and everybody will be able to join as well. Now, the sessions are going to be every Thursday, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and is the Cybersecurity GRC interview arena. Now, dates for our upcoming training, we have our GRC hands-on internship and workshop. We've started the new session. They are meeting tomorrow. The next after that is going to be April 28th. The AI governance, also another session is starting. Another session is starting in, I think it's March 9th, not May 9th, but not May 9th, not March 9th. We've started the March already. For cloud security, May 5th is the next session. And then for our AI, the 7-day challenge is also 23rd April. And then we have our PCI DSS program also starting on the 4th, and cybersecurity entry level course on 16th of April, right? So these are the dates for the upcoming ones, and this is the 7-day challenge as well. And for anyone on here looking to break into the cybersecurity space, the best course out there to help you do this is our cybersecurity entry level course. It comes with giving you a very strong foundation in cybersecurity, and then also you working on some projects hands-on. That is what employers are looking for. And with some help with job placement, interview prep, like we do on the Arena, we are doing full blown on the Arena now, and then with resume prep and others as well, right? And then for folks who've had some cybersecurity training, you have a degree, you have some training, but you really don't have the hands-on, you've not worked on any project. The GRC internship and workshop is a place that is going to help you do this. You work on real-world projects, on at least 8 to 10 real-world projects from it cuts across different areas of GRC and cybersecurity, and this is going to help you really gain that experience before you move into a role, because employers are looking for what you can do, not what you just know. So it's not about your certifications or your degrees. All that is good, but if you have those and you've not done anything, even if they give you the job, you are going to run away and leave the job there, right? And we are going to move into our cloud security as well. So for cloud security, for anyone who, if you are already in the cybersecurity space, looking to, move up the cybersecurity career ladder, it is always good to add to your toolbox. So, and you should also know how to do security in the cloud as well. And this is a course that takes you through AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. So it is new vendor neutral. It is very hands-on. You are going to learn way more than you've ever, even if you've taken a cloud class before. What you're going to learn here, you've never seen anywhere else, right? So look into this also as well. And then our AI specialist, AI governance specialist, this is for everybody, whether you have a background in cybersecurity or not. We encourage you to look into this. AI is here to stay. How to govern and how to protect assets that we have in the AI space is what we are looking at here, right? So look at it more like GRC, but GRC for AI, but it goes beyond GRC also as well, because there is more that we do here as well in the AI space. So if you're a cybersecurity professional currently working, you have a job already, don't wait for you to be replaced by somebody who knows AI. This is the opportunity for you to learn and grow. And even if they have an AI person come on board, it is beneficial if you know way more than you're supposed to do. Because even as a security professional, your AI assets are part of your scope, right? So it's only prudent for you to look into this and enroll as soon as possible. And then for folks who are looking to break into the 200K, 250K in the cybersecurity space, this is the course for you. The PCI DSS, the Payment Security Compliance Program. This is the program that is going to help you break into those, big roles, right? The PCI manager and all those other roles. And those are the ones that are really paying the 300Ks, the 250, the 400. That is where you can easily break through with one job paying you that much. So our link is going to be posted for the WhatsApp group and all the other courses that we spoke about. Now, we are going to go over the different levels of interviews, and then we are going to ask for at least 2 volunteers, people who are, if you think, you're up to the task, and everybody is, and this is a safe learning environment. That is why we created this. And that is what we are going to be doing every Thursday. So we are here to learn in a safe environment, to fail and to grow and to practice and polish up and become really good at our interviewing skills, right? Because that is what is holding a lot of people back, especially a lot of career switches. So that is why we are doing this. So without wasting much time, I'm going to introduce Michael, and Michael is going to give us a rundown. But I'm going to be sharing the screen for Michael, and Michael is going to walk us through how this whole program is going to go. Right. So Michael, if you are ready.
Dr. Edu, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, go ahead, Andy.
It's with your dates. Did you see the meeting is going to be from Thursdays?
Yes,
Because
Thursdays.
oh gosh, our cohort usually meets on Thursdays, and we've been doing that for, that means we'll have to, what time?
So 7 to 8:30.
Same time. Okay, it's
Yes.
gonna affect our cohorts meeting, so we're gonna have to think about that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I have to come right
Okay.
back.
You're welcome.
Mm.
You're welcome, Andy. All right. All right. So Michael, kindly hold one. We still have some folks coming in. Michael, so you can start, give your intro, and then I'm going to pull this up for you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well and everyone can hear me. All right. I assume everybody can hear me. Yeah. Thanks and good evening, everyone. Yeah. Appreciate everyone for joining. Like Dr. Du always says, today is Friday. You could have been anywhere, but I decided to come here and learn and just join the journey. And as Dr. Du always say, we are building a cybersecurity army for the future and years to come. So today, like he said, we will be going through interview how to prep yourself, how to answer some of these questions. And like you said at the beginning, we'll put some people that will volunteer, put them on the spot and go through some cybersecurity questions, right? But the biggest thing you have to always, think about it whenever you are getting yourself into any interview, right? Think about the role you are applying for. You have to know the company that you are also applying for, right? So I typically tell people who reach out to us that just, know a little bit about the company, right? Quick example, if you are trying to, talk to someone, you love to know the person, right? You have to know their interests so you can know how best, you can, carry that out, right? Same thing for a company, right? Before you try to work for any company, you have to learn about the company, their mission statement, their vision and stuff like that, right? So that's going to help you become very, very successful. So this interview section, what we call the arena, it's broken down to different sections, and that's what I'm going to walk you through, or as you can see on the screen. Typically for, every normal scenario when it comes to interview, it will typically start with recruiting, right? So the recruiting or typically they call them talent acquisition team. They are pretty much the people who will start reaching out, getting a pool of candidates, and they will send them over to, the hiring manager, or they'll start a screening process, right? So for the most part, if you are not reached out by like maybe any sourcing company, and it's like pretty much the company is reaching out to you directly, it will be their talent acquisition or their pretty much recruiting team, right? And typically you want to observe, they are looking for, some few things, which is, they will try to learn about your background. And they also have their grading rubric and what they are looking for. They will learn a little bit about your background because they have the job title and the post and everything, right? So they know what they are looking for. And typically before they start sourcing or getting candidates for the hiring manager, they discuss, the hiring manager typically discuss some of the expectations, what they are looking for, their background, their communication skills, if they have like some drive or some zeal, some oomph in them, right? So they can say that, okay, this person is motivated, right? So typically you don't want to joke with the initial one because that's pretty much gonna set you up for success, right? So that is how typically start with. So the recruiter or the team, that's how it starts. Go through some basic questions and you make sure you wanna, come up very, very well on a, step on the right foot, right? So typically the second stage is when you pass the initial screening, they'll, pretty much point you over or move you to the next stage. That is when typically you reach out to the hiring manager because the recruiter, sometimes they might give the recruiter like some target, maybe we need about 10 people, right? And the hiring manager, and I'll tell you this for a fact, they don't want to interview all 10 people, right? So the hiring manager will start based on, the sourcing or the information that the recruiter or the recruiting team or the talent acquisition team provides, they will start dwindling the numbers down, right? So if you go through the initial stage, which is the recruiter or the talent acquisition manager or the team, and you move to the next stage, which is the hiring manager, that is when they will also, dwindle the numbers down. That is when you can progress to the next stage and go through, like a panel interview, right? So the stage two, typically they want to see, depending on the type of role you're applying for, they want to see how you are good from a technical standpoint, right? So of course, we are talking about cybersecurity here. So your basic rudiments in cybersecurity, we are talking about your basic GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. Now, most companies are adding what we call privacy. So you probably see them say JRCP instead of JRC, where the P stands for privacy. So some organizations, they have the privacy part of that part of their GRC function, right? So that is when you learn about compliance, risk and governance, right? So the stage three is when you progress after the hiring manager, after talking to all these candidates, they will make a decision that, you know what, at the end of the day, they are the hiring manager, right? So they know exactly the role they are looking for and how they want that person to work for them, right? So that is when they will start, okay, I like this person based on ABCD. I like the other person based on ABCD. And most hiring managers, they don't want to make the decision solely themselves. They'll kind of, I wouldn't say all, but most hiring managers, right, the good ones that I've seen, they work with like a team, right? So they will also try to get a feel of, these candidates based on their conversation with their team members, right? So the stage 3 is when the hiring manager moves you to the next stage. So they're like, okay, I'm fine with maybe dwindle to like about 5 people. Now, out of the 5, I have my picks, but I want some other opinion from my team members, right? So the hiring manager might probably be hiring for a role in compliance, right? Maybe they have a team that working on maybe SOC 2, PCI, NIST, what have you, right? So they have individual people leading this whole maybe function, right? So they'll try and get team members from each function so they can give their perspective. So the third part is when you proceed from the hiring manager to meet a panel or a team, right? Typically, depending on the size of the company, you are looking somewhere around, mostly you see like around 3 to 4, but I've seen people who have been through like panel interviews that have been, the hot seat and speaking to about 5 or 6 different people, right? It all depends, right? It's not like one size or one, half fit all. It just depends, right? And that is when you go into what we call our scenario-based questions, because they want to test your problem solving. Every company, they have a problem. That's why they are hiring in the first place, right? So they want to see how you can help solve the problem that they are having issues with, the Achilles heel, or the reason why they need you to come help with them, right? So it's pretty much like a scenario-based questions, what we typically call "Tell me about a time." That is when we'll walk you through how to answer those kind of behavioral questions, right? So this will bring us to our stage 5, where we talk about behavioral questions, right? And that is very, very critical because you have to kind of think outside the box. And if you've been through interviews before, you kind of have some expectations on how to answer these questions, right? So whenever you hear any tell me about yourself, we talk about, some scenario-based questions, how you need to answer using what we call the STAR approach, right? You talk about a situation, the task that you, were asked to do, the actions that you took, and also the results, right? So we have that acronym which represents STAR: situation, task, action, and results. And this is how you want to answer your question. And these are all grading rubrics. All hiring managers know. They pop it over to all the team members who actually be performing the interview. So they'll be grading you based on how you answer these questions. So it is very, very critical that you understand this basic rudiment of answering questions that is, behavioral in nature, right? And once you proceed after that stage, that is when maybe the hiring manager, they make a decision. Typically, we call that your interview loop because you are, looping between, different, team members, right? So when they place, they do a recommendation, the hiring manager will do typically a debrief after that particular section. They'll do a debrief that, okay, we have about 5 candidates. You all spoke to them, like, let me know what you feel. All of them will give their feedback. Ultimately, the hiring manager is supposed to make the decision, right? So different companies, they have what they call the bar raiser, right? Pretty much the person who makes the call, right? So it's very, very critical that every stage you put in your best and you know exactly what is expected from you from all these stages. So the last part is sometimes the hiring manager also has a boss, right? Typically, that's when you see like a director or senior director level. I've seen people who has pretty much gone all the way up to the CISO level, right? Because they find out pretty much, depending on the type of role you are applying for, sometimes the CISO want to kind of know you. And at that stage, you are pretty much very close to the finish line. So that is when they talk about some, leadership, strong strategic thinking, depending on the type of role that you apply for. If it's not like a low level, maybe analyst 1, 2, 3, or manager or senior manager, typically that's how the level runs to, right? So sometimes depending on level, you might not speak directly to the CISO. Maybe right after the hiring manager and also the panel, you might probably be done and getting ready for, an offer if you make through. But depending on the level of the role you're applying for, typically we see this around like manager and senior manager and directors, right? Typically the CISO or the senior director will probably want to talk to you as well. So that is when they gauge how you think strategically, right? So we have, of course, our strategic, tactical and operational, right? All they want is long term, 3 to 5 years. How do you want to see our compliance engagement? How do you want to see how we run pretty much our PCI, our SOC 2? Are we going to, put in some automation, right? So they want more strategic thinking. So those type of level, you will not hear a lot of, technical questions. They just want to see strategic problem solving and also how you resolve conflicts, because you'll be working with a lot of team members. And that's a high, depending on the role that you're applying for, like I said, depends on some of your responsibilities, right? We have what we call our IC, individual contributors, and also we have what we call people manager, PM, right? You might have a senior role, but it's only an IC, what we call an IC, individual contributor. So nobody's reporting to you. You're just a senior, you're just doing your job. And with the same senior manager role, you can have a role that people will be reporting to you, and that's what we call people manager. So sometimes they test your skills, and trust me, you find this in every company. Some people, they just don't want to lead anybody. They just want to do their job, go home to their family, right? So we call them individual contributors. And once we start, this whole program will show you how all these works, right? So typically, this is how the typical structure of interview, that's how you're looking at. We'll start with like a recruiter or the talent acquisition team, depending on how the company is set up. Once you proceed to the next stage, that is when you talk to the hiring manager. Typically, the hiring manager, the second stage, wants to do their own personal screening because they know exactly who they want, right? And once you proceed after the hiring manager, you go to a panel, right? Because hiring manager will want to involve their teams as well. So they might have like about 3 or 4 or 5, depending on the size of the company, and they'll do one. And once they, finalize and, come to maybe like 1 or 2 people, sometimes they always have a backup option, right? Maybe they will extend an offer to the first person. The first person might not like it. Probably they were also applying for other jobs and they have the opportunities, right? And I've seen this all the time. Sometimes they make it all the way to the end, they extend an offer, they end up declining the offer, right? So typically they try to get like about 2 candidates for the most part, depending on how, the company runs. And once you proceed to that, they will recommend you to maybe the one above the hiring manager, like what I just talked about, right? So that is when they are looking at your strategic thinking, your problem solving skills, your people management, experience, conflict resolution, how to create policies. I cannot stress this enough, how to create policies. I can give a lot of examples, and that's how they want strategic thinking, right? Think like a manager, right? Okay. So once you're done with all of that, that is when they start extending offer to you and you start those negotiation, right? So this is how we'll be running the interview process when you are in the hot seat in the arena. And we also have a scoring or grading rubric, and we'll be explaining that to you all as well. So that is typically like a score sheet, right? And this will pretty much be given to all those who will be interviewing you, right? And this is not like a one size fit all. Every company has their own grading rubric. Some of them say scale of 1 to 5. Some are 1 to 10. Like it's the same premise, right? So they try to grade you based on different, categories, right? They want to see how you think strategically, your problem solving skills, how you are able to think on your feet. Sometimes they just throw in some questions to just test how you think outside the box, right? They don't want to ask you like, okay, tell me about risk. So you can just memorize, hey, risk is, just spit it out, right? So they want to ask you some questions to test your ability to kind of think outside the box a little bit. So they have, a category for how did you score on your basic, knowledge in, cybersecurity or GRC, depending on the type of who you're applying for, how you do critical thinking, problem solving, how you do communicate, right? Communication and clarity is very, very key because if you are applying for like a high level, typically we have like analyst 1, 2, 3, and you move straight to like a manager and you move to like a senior manager, right? Then director. So typically any role above a manager, they want to see your communication skills because guess what? You'll be, leading interviews. You'll be leading like, MBRs, like monthly business report, and also QBRs, quarterly business report. And these are top CISOs, CIOs. You have, different directors, VPs across different, orgs within the company. And they want to see how you can present and communicate whatever information that you have, right? And that's when you start going to how to build PowerPoint presentation and how to be very crisp and succinct, right? Very straight to the point. When you go into the corporate world, they don't like a lot of fluffy stuff, right? And that is when, you're maturing into your role. You're going to the more of, manager, senior manager level. You have to communicate very well and effectively, right? Typically, you hear words like make it very crisp, very straightforward, right? Very short, right? So it all depends on, the type of role you're applying for. And we have different levels. And during this opportunity, those who have an opportunity to join this particular interview session, the arena will kind of guide you through all these different scenarios so that depending on the job that you apply for, you know exactly how to answer these questions. So communication and clarity is very, very, crucial, right? And also they want to see your confidence, right? Because some of these roles involves maybe onboarding different tools, right? I can give you an example. I don't want to go too personal, but sometimes your company might probably be in a position to maybe acquire like a new like EDR, right? Or a SIM2. Now cloud is becoming very, very big. So a lot of opportunities in the cloud environment. Maybe you are outsourcing new, cloud security posture management, what we call a CSPM, right? So you have different vendors. You'll be meeting with them. They'll do a POC, proof of concepts, right? So they want to see how confidently you speak to this external, third parties and how professional you are, right? So depending on the type of role you're applying for, they want to test how professional you are, right? And I always say this to people, right? You can have like 200 years of experience. If you don't have like regular people skills, how to interact with, especially external vendors, you will be having a lot of problems, right? And I've seen this, over the years. Some people are very technically very, very good, right? Like if you need any information within a company, you want to go to these people, right? And it will teach you how to form, bonds and who you need to partner with and working in when you start working in the corporate industry, right? Some people, we call them the movers and shakers. You need them. They've been in a company. We call them, they know where all the bodies are buried, right? So if you need any piece of information, those are the people you go to, right? And in akin to what I was saying, when it comes to dealing with external vendors and parties and stuff like that, they want to grade on how professional you are, how you are able to articulate exactly the products you are looking for, the high level requirements of their products, and the pretty much the what exactly the product is going to do for you, right? So depending on your type of role, which is very key, right? This might grade you on your confidence and also professional level as well. And also understanding the business, right? Sometimes, high level management, you're looking at the business, they are there to make money, right? So thinking more strategically how you can generate different avenues of helping a company to maximize their profits and also spending less, right? So if you have like maybe a whole, compliance team and it's costing you this X amount of dollars, as the senior manager, right? How can you think to reduce the spending and getting that same, work or job done, right? There are ways to go about that, and they will be running through all of that, right? So depending on type of your role, the type of role that you apply for, you'll be graded amongst all these things, right? I can think, business, strategic, because every company, every business, every organization is there to make money, right? It's all about money, 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 right? Straight cash, homie, as my friend would say. I wish I have some, sound effects here so I can play that sound effects, but that is what you are looking for. And situational awareness and stakeholder awareness is also very, very critical. You see this a lot when it comes to, audits, right? Most companies go through a lot of audits, right? Maybe like PCI, HIPAA, SOC 2, whatever the case may be, right? And it is very, very critical that you know all your stakeholders, right? Internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, right? Internally is when you're doing like internal audits, you have different functions within the business, right? You have the EIT enterprise, information technology. You have the vulnerability management, IAM, identity and access management. You have your cloud team where you have all your solutions and cloud security architects, right? And also you have your compliance team. You have legal, like different teams, right? They all play a role in compliance, right? So when you are talking about your architects, how to review diagrams and stuff like that, you have to know your stakeholders. You have to prep them. You have to train them so they can perform well on all these audits. within a company, you depending on your line of business, I've seen it in different, typically we see this in like the hospitality industries, like hotels and travel companies and stuff like that, right? What happens is because they provide some of these services to a lot of people who probably own credit card information, who use what we call like OTA, like online travel agents and stuff like that, right? So some of these external partners do perform audits on your company as well. So throughout the year, typically we see like every quarter, you have like a difference bank, right? Me as an example, you can have this X bank. I don't want to go too personal, mention some stuff here that I'm not supposed to. So just let's say ND, right? Dr. Eretmis works with, ND LLC, right? ND LLC has customers that shop at Eretmis, right? So they have to make sure that Eretmis, they have good security and good security best practices to protect customers of ND that go to Eretmis. So guess what? They have to perform a security baseline. They have to make sure they are due diligence, the risk assessment. So all these audits, you have to know your external stakeholders. You have to know their line of business, the type of audits or whatever they need to do, right? So you'll be well prepared, right? And overall, that is when, they have to make a decision that, okay, we want to hire this particular person based on, their level of experience. And also sometimes too, trust me, I've seen this a lot too. You can always teach people, right? So, I've seen most hiring managers, we've all been in position of a hiring manager before. So we know how some of these things work. And I will open up to like the 67 people in this Zoom call right now. If you're a hiring manager and you can always train people. So when you are doing your, getting candidates for your role, would you want someone who has 200 years of experience that is very less motivated, doesn't want to take initiative, will not join calls, don't want to come up with ideas, or you try to hire someone who has maybe 2 or 3 years of experience but has that drive? Sometimes you can just feel it when you jump on a call. You look at all these soft skills, right? Most hiring managers, that's what they look for, because they know that you can always train someone to get a job done. What you cannot train people to do is good leadership, good, situational awareness. What you cannot teach people is emotional intelligence, right? What you cannot teach people is how to relate to people. I've seen people let go within companies because their hiring managers, all they're doing is, firefighting, putting out fires all the time because, one of their, subordinates, had like a fracas or misunderstanding with like maybe the class security team. So you are hiring manager, instead of doing your job, you are spending all the hours, jumping on calls or responding to, Teams messages or Slack messages just to solve or, resolve problems. Nobody wants to do that. Sometimes, HR gets involved. I don't want to go into all of that, but most hiring managers are looking for people who are willing and able to learn. I'm not saying that don't be technically inclined, but you also have to have the vibe. You have to have, the drive, eagerness to learn, how you keep yourself caring in an industry, how you apply emotional intelligence, how to just even draft a simple email without being very, very passive aggressive, right? These are some of the soft skills that we always, I try to lay more emphasis on as hiring managers when you're looking for new candidates into a role. I can go on and on. I don't want to give everything out right now, but I'll pause here and see if there are any questions that far, and we can move to the next section. Thanks, everyone. I hope you all learned something today, and you are kind of looking forward to exactly how this whole course is structured. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure we train and prepare you well. Some people are very, very good when it comes to the technical knowledge. Some people are very good when it comes to emotional intelligence, but when you put them in front of a camera to go perform an interview, it's like they don't even know how to talk. And I have genuinely seen people like that, and all they need is some prep, some confidence, and they'll be good to go. So that is what this arena or cybersecurity GRC arena interview prep is supposed to achieve, to bridge that gap and solve all the problems, especially people who are very good. But when it comes to interviewing people, when it comes to interviews, how to organize themselves, how to prepare for those interviews, and what hiring managers, employees are looking for. That is the gap that they are missing. And that is what this program or this particular portfolio is seeking to achieve. So I'll pause here for a second and see if there are any questions that far, and we can move into the next section.
All right. Thank you, Michael. So I have a question though. So I have you, I saw you went through 6 stages. Does that mean on the job I'm going to do, if I'm applying to a cybersecurity or GRC role, I'm going to do 6 interviews?
And no, it's not like one size fit all, right? So depending on the type of role that you're applying for, I've seen structures where someone, when you pass through the talent acquisition phase, they're recommending to the hiring manager speak to you, done, hired, right? Some roles, they want to hire very quick. They know exactly who they are looking for. So once they get, the employee screened and handed over to the hiring manager, probably have to go to probably maybe 2 or 3 stages. I've seen people only going to 3 stages because the hiring manager just wanted like a second opinion. So right after the talent acquisition or the recruiting team, they pass it on to the hiring manager. Hiring manager interviews, knows exactly what they want, and they feel like they have exactly what they need. They just get a second opinion from like a team members, and that's it. They don't even go up further to speak to even like a CISO or a senior director, right? However, I've also seen some interviews, right? Depending on the type of company, they want to go through the whole interview loop. Some, not most, but some senior directors wants to kind of have a feel of who they are hiring, make sure that the person is a good fit for the company, which is very, very critical, right? I was just speaking to a friend and helping a friend who just is in the last stage of applying in the last stage of interview at St. Jude, right? As a cloud security architect, just going over, helping prepping this person, very good, but because of the mission of the company, it's a nonprofit, because there are some, things that you need to learn, right, to support the cause. So when it comes to compensation, it's a little bit different, right? So I don't want to go to all the details, but depending on the type of company, their mission and what they seek to achieve will determine how the interview process is going to go. So to your question, you can go only as 3, and I've seen people go through 7 different stages. It all depends. So it's not a one size fit all.
All right. Thank you, Michael. So if there are any questions, you can raise your virtual hand and ask your question. But either than that, we are going to, I will pick our judges, and then if you have an interview coming up, you can raise your virtual hand. We are going to do 2 people, 3 sessions, right? So for the program that is starting on this coming Thursday, tentatively, every week we will have the group already. I mean, for those who are going to subscribe, we will have the group already. So if you have an interview coming up or not, we'll pick a person, give you the job description, and then on Thursday you are going to come for the, be in the hot seat, and we are going to walk you through the different stages, and you ask the questions, we give you feedback. The judges are going to, judge and stuff. So anyone, if you're about to go to an interview or you just want to put yourself on the spot just to test what you have, the questions we are going to ask are general GRC cybersecurity questions, right? So, and this is an environment to fail and grow. So if you want to put yourself on the spot, you can raise your virtual hand. And I also have,
Dr. Du, is it the
kindly hold on. So I also have somebody in mind that I'm going to, push into this, whether he likes it or not. But before that, our judges, we have Michael Yeboah, we have Gabriel and Isaac. I saw Isaac was also able to make it. Isaac, and then anybody else that I'm missing for the judges. And for the judges, we have a pool of judges that we are going to cycle through every week. Right now, this session, if you are lucky to be picked to be interviewed, because next week, the ones that we do on Thursday, they are not going to be on Cyber Chat, and you have to subscribe to School to be able to, participate in that, right? So, Andy, you can go ahead and ask your question.
I was asking, so what level is it the HR level or
No, we are doing at least all 3. So HR, then you go to hiring manager, then you go to, right? So we will do all 3. So I think someone said they are going to an interview. Uchuba, if you are going to an interview and you want to jump onto this, but aside Uchuba, I'm gonna have, is Michael Anim still on here?
Yeah, I have an interview.
Okay, so do you want to be, you want to put yourself on the spot?
No, I don't want to put myself on the spot, but I just want a place where I can be able to maybe have one-on-one.
Okay, so that, I mean, you can schedule an appointment offline, right? But if you want to answer the questions and get feedback from the judges, then we can go through that. But aside that, for everybody in Eretmis, you know where to go to make an appointment for your one-on-one sessions, right?
Okay.
So
Okay, I'm here.
yes, okay. So then we are going to have Michael in the hot seat. Because Michael has done this for a little bit, right? So at least for Michael, this is not going to be, way off. All right. So if our judges are ready,
Oh,
Michael is going to be asking the questions. So this is not based on any job description because this is just general, your GRC, your cybersecurity basics, right? So that is what we are going to ask. Now, the goal is not necessarily to test the technicality of what you know, but your delivery, how you answer your questions, right? How you approach it. That is more of what we are looking at, right? So this is kind of sparring, right? So if our judges are ready, we are going to, and for the judges, if I miss anybody, you can kindly raise your virtual hand and I'm going to add you on there. But for folks that I can see Isaac, Gabriel, and then Michael Yabua. So there are a lot of Michaels. And Michael Enim is going to be in the hot seat. And Michael, the co-pilot, is going to be asking the questions. So Michael, let's take it away. And Michael Enim, I put you on the spot because I know you're up to the task. So if Michael will start with the HR, I mean, we are going to do at least 2 or 3 questions, and then we move on to the next stage.
All right. Thank you, Mike, my own namesake, for stepping up. So like Dr. Du said, typically, just to give some people some background, because this is also a learning opportunity for people, right? Typically, your talent acquisition or the hiring, the talent acquisition or the recruiters, sometimes they are not very technical. So they are not here to test you too much, like Dr. Du and your technical ability, right? They want to see if you're a good fit and how you saw and apply for this role, right? They want to know if you are kind of fitting your current role. But I don't want to help you answer your questions, so I'll just ask you so you can go straight forward to it, right? So, Mike, if you're ready, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your interest in this role as well? So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your interest in this role? And this role, just think about regular, GRC, cybersecurity analyst job. Yeah, let me know if you can hear me, Mike. And if you're talking, you're on mute. So, Mike, your first question, you just have a talent acquisition manager, or you just had like a recruiting, team reached out to you. You set up a Zoom or a phone interview, and your first question is, tell me about yourself and why are you applying for this role?
well, thank you very much for the opportunity provided. I'm Michael Enim, a GRC professional of 5 years plus. Now, I am a dedicated professional, and with respect to this role, I saw it on. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Let me start. All right, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Michael. Thank you for the opportunity provided for to interview for this role. As a dedicated cybersecurity professional of 4 or 5 years plus, I have been involved in my current role and previous roles with risk assessment. I am also responsible for running a risk register and ensuring that risk that are identified are tracked and remediated and followed through to completion. Now, I'm also involved with supporting audits, both internal and external audits, and I lead the vulnerability management team to ensure that vulnerabilities are identified, are also remediated, and you know risk owners are also identified at the same time to ensure that the identified risks are remediated completely. I would say that I am interested in this role. I have what it takes to come on and hit the ground running to support the vision of the organization, which is to ensure that you take care of the customer needs and ensure that your compliance needs are also met. So this is a little about myself and why I am interested in taking on the opportunity to join your team. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate your answer. So I'll be asking you a second question. I was just looking at your resume and I saw that in your resume that you have worked in diverse roles, including um, vulnerability management and also helping with some compliance frameworks. Can you just tell me a little bit more about, working with vulnerability management and some compliance frameworks that you were talking about? Can you hear me, Mike? I think you're on mute if you are still talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. Oh, okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
So
Yeah.
thank you very much. So my current organization is in the healthcare industry. So HIPAA is one of the frameworks that I have worked on, as well as working with ISO 27001. So I ensure that our compliance uh, efforts towards these frameworks are met. So I engage with the multiple teams, cross-functional teams, to ensure that we have audit readiness towards this framework. So on a periodic uh, level, I conduct assessments with uh, the vulnerability management team to assess our risk level, and this is documented to for readiness at the end of the year when we do our compliance responsibilities with respect to HIPAA and SOC 2 as well, because we have third parties that we supply work with. So we also ensure that our SOC 2 is always in place, ensuring that our controls of integrity, compliance, integrity, uh, confidentiality, and availability, all these controls, we ensure that they are in place. So this is my responsibility, ensuring that so there was a scenario that we were going to have this audit. I ensured that I prepared the internal team to get our documentations ready, and I got them to go through the training to ensure that they understand what the external auditors will be working on. So going through this process with them, at the end of the day, we ended up coming up with a shorter audit time, cutting the short audit time by about 20%. So that is one of the responsibilities with regards to frameworks.
Right. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it. And also, audience, I know we have about 69 people here. Yeah, because of time, we are going to limit to just 2 questions for the initial recruiter or the talent acquisition management team. So, Mike, I'm going to fast forward here. I'm just doing some quick, preamble, and we'll go to the next session. Okay. Hey, Michael, my name is Brendan. I spoke to you about 3 days ago, and you did apply for a role, and I talked to you about. I think we liked you. I spoke with our hiring manager. He really wants to talk to you and learn more about how you can best help our company. So I've sent you an email with some availabilities, so you can let us know when we'll be available to talk to our hiring manager. So, Mike, you responded to the email. You've already chose a time and date I want to speak to the hiring manager. So, hey, thank you, Michael. My name is Stephen. I'm the head of compliance here at Mike LLC. Thank you so much for applying. I spoke to our, talent acquisition team. It looks like a very good candidate, and I'll be asking you some few questions. So going through your resume, Mike, I saw that you've worked in HIPAA and some compliance. Can you tell me some of the difficult controls that you've been, assigned to work on, and how do you overcome those controls? Because our company, we have some controls that we do struggle with, and we want someone that can help implement some controls or improve some of our controls. So can you talk to me about any controls that your previous role you've struggled with and how you've helped improve those controls?
Thank you very much. So one of the, I'm getting a feedback. Okay, thank you very much. So it is always important that we have our controls in place and the controls are functioning. So in-house, I ensure that the controls are in place and they are functioning and doing what they are supposed to do. So one of the controls that I was assigned with was to ensure that our um, uh, disaster recovery and business continuity controls are in place. And with this, I had to work with the IT team. So the difficulty I had with that was that it was because I had to work with these multiple teams and they had their all respective responsibilities beside my working with them on ensuring that our disaster recovery and business continuity control is in place. I ensured that I gave them a heads up. We started the program ahead on time. So that way we had enough time to ensure that we had a control in place. So the control that we're working on was to be able to have our backup, in place so that in case where, it is not a case of if there will be um, a breach, but when there is a breach. So ensuring that we have these controls in place was what I was supposed to run through with them. And the difficulty was because of their other responsibilities, I was having the difficulty of getting them to meet the timeline for us working and establishing the control. So how I went around that was to ensure that they are aware of what we are going to do. I briefed them ahead on time, so that helped us to work on that efficiently. So that's one of the controls that I had to work on.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. I can tell that was a little bit challenging when you're working on that. So my next question for you, Mike. So we are really struggling with our internal stakeholders in continuously monitoring our controls, right? So we don't have a very good system in place as far as, doing like internal, what we call our control monitoring to test the effectiveness of our controls, right? So we want someone who can come in and, help build like a program where we can internally test our controls because we do audits every year. And sometimes we have a lot of gaps that we need to fill. So can you tell me, if you've had any experience or tell me about a time where you've built any internal, continuous monitoring process that helped improved your controls and also your compliance?
But thank you very much. So as mentioned earlier on, controls needs first of all to be established and be in place and functioning. The difficulty we were having at a point in time was that we did not have the control owners who were continuously monitoring the controls So I ensure that I work with the control custodians, so the control custodians who continuously work on the control to ensure its efficiency were not able to identify this. So I talked with the business owners to be able to understand who were the control owners were, and if they were not, we established one. So I also ensured that I track that in our GRC platform. So what I did was I identified the control and also was able to link the control with the control owner. So when there was a control gap, I will be able to work with the control owner to remediate the gap, record that in the GRC platform, and track it to completion. So that is what I have done with ensuring that controls are in place, they are monitored and continuously, and when there's a gap, we are able to remediate that. So that helped with tracking our controls, and it improved our compliance posture, resulting in our audit uh, our audit in that year with less issues, and we didn't have the issue where the auditors kept coming back with questions back and forth. So that was how I helped improve that process.
All right. Because of sake of time, I'll move to the next stage. So, Michael, thank you very much. My name is Courtney. I spoke to you about 3 weeks ago. I just did a debrief with our hiring manager. He really likes you. He really likes you, and he wants to move you forward to the next step. So, he wants to schedule a time with you, and you can speak to our senior director. So, we'll go from there. So Mike sent you an email, sent you availability, send you a link in Calendly so you can set up a Zoom call with our senior director. Okay. Hey, so Mike, this is me. My name is Abhishek. I am the senior director here of the GRC function, the governance, risk, and compliance. And we also have, privacy function as well. So I oversee all these 4 pillars that we have in our GRCP function. So what I really, currently struggling with is I have a lot of stakeholders that are, not really, working well with our compliance team. They are always misunderstanding, and there are always issues that has been escalated to me so many times. So, Mike, can you tell me about a time that you've had to resolve any conflicts with any member of your team and with an external member in a different organization? So, I just want you to tell me a little bit, or tell me about a time where you have to resolve a conflict between one of your team members and one of the directors of the incident response team. So tell me about what the conflict was about. Tell me what you did, and tell me how the problem was resolved.
Can you repeat the latter portion of the question?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Like I said, my name is Abhishek, the GRC function here. So we are having a lot of, conflict with my internal team with outside stakeholders. So like I said, I oversee the governance, risk and compliance, and also privacy function. We do work with different, stakeholders across the organization within, penetration testing, incident response and vulnerability, right? And I'm always stuck in meetings, resolving conflicts, and I want someone to come help me with that. So I want to understand, tell me about a time that you've had to resolve a conflict between one of your team members and an external stakeholder outside of your organization. What was the situation and how did you resolve the problem?
Okay, thank you very much. So conflict resolution that comes up a lot of the time, and how the approach to resolving is very critical. So now, one of my responsibility is leading the TPR team, third party risk management team. So there was a situation where a business unit proposed to use a tool for their business department. So they had a timeline for the the project to be completed. The business owner was pushing for the tool to be adopted and implemented in the middle of us, the security team, performing the security uh, evaluation. And because we were not done with the security evaluation, I had to uh, the I had to work with the TPR team to explain to the business owner the necessity of performing the security evaluation, just to ensure that the security posture of the organization as well as the tool uh, is in a good place, so that we don't end up coming up with breaches that is spilling over from that organization, as well as the tool, because the tool was going to have access to critical data in the organization. So I explained the impact that a breach might have on the organization. For instance, we may end up having, I explained to him that we may end up having a compliance, consequences, as well as financial impact on the organization, as well as reputational impact. So after a sit down and an explanation to the business owner, we all came to that agreement, and he understood, waited for us to still work on the security evaluation within the same period of time. It was just extended just a couple of days, but it was workable, and that's how I was able to handle that situation by ensuring that I understood where he was coming from, and also explain the risk involved. So that's how I worked around that.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. So my last question for you today is, so from a strategic standpoint, we are very, very, cloud dominant. Most of our resources and services are in cloud, AWS to be specific. We have some little, services and microservices in Azure as well. But currently, we don't have any, cloud security posture management. We ingest a lot of logs and, stuff like that. So, within the next 2 to 3 years, I'm looking forward to onboard a tool that will monitor the health of all our cloud platform and our cloud resources. Have you been involved in any role of running a program from scratch and onboarding a tool and deploying it across the environment before? Yep. Can you hear me, Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got muted. Okay, so with regards to to get a clarification, are you referring specifically to cloud, or just any other discipline as well?
Yeah, no, just cloud. Yeah, we have a lot of resources, a lot of tools in our cloud environment, and we want to increase our cloud security posture, right? So we want to onboard a tool to pretty much monitor all our cloud services to make sure that, from a cloud security perspective, we are good to go. So within the next 3 years, when I have you, if I have you as a candidate, I want you to lead an enterprise-wide onboarding a cloud security platform so we can deploy it across the environment. So you'll be working on, finding different vendors, doing an active POC and doing all that, cloud security compliance. So have you, been involved in
Oh,
any
okay.
role where you've onboarded a tool and be used across the organization, like enterprise-wide grade tool?
Oh, yes. So, in my responsibility currently, I've led multiple, efforts to onboard tools. Now, there was a situation where we were looking at onboarding a same tool. So the I led a team to perform the evaluations. First of all, the procurement team went ahead and did what they had to do, and when it was referred to us to perform the security checks, uh, I led a team to send the security questionnaires to the third-party team, the vendors. They brought back the response from the security questionnaire. We evaluated both. We had multiple vendors. So what we did was to evaluate both organizations and the tool. And then we came out with a criteria of scoring the the vendors. So the choice was made between whose two based on usability, user friendliness, and also their security posture of the organization. And then the decision was made and was forwarded to the senior management for them to make the final decision. But prior to that, is just to ensure that the security posture of the vendors are in the good place, assessing the controls. We requested for SOC 2 documentation. If there was one that had compliance with PCI, we requested for the PCI compliance documentation, as well as requesting for their business continuity data recovery, as well as all their policies, just to review it and to ensure that whatever controls that their data management processes were in good standing, how they handle data. We also look at for instance, how they respond to critical gaps, ensuring that we establish SLAs with. I worked with the compliance and legal team as we put in this contractual language to ensure that it reflects our internal security policy to ensure that the SLAs are clear. So it starts from the onboarding through continuous monitoring and also look at offboarding processes as well. So this is how I went through the process, starting from pre-onboarding, onboarding, and as we work with them, what SLAs they were supposed to meet. And if at a point in time we were going to offboard or go separate ways, what uh, arrangements are in place and what they are able to provide for offboarding activities. Well, sometimes we get the vendors to partake in our offboarding process, even helping to onboard not onboard, but getting the new vendors that are coming in to understand our environment. So based on the contractual agreement, that is how I worked around that. So that is one situation that I can talk about.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. It was nice talking to you. I'm going to pretend here, Mike. Do you have any questions for me that you want to know before onboarding? So because of time, I assume you just asked some 1 or 2 questions.
Yes,
What you wanted to know, ask, I just answered it. So thank you so much, Mike. I'll talk to my hiring manager. Courtney, my hiring manager, will speak to the talent acquisition manager, and we'll talk to you about next steps. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. My wife and I will be taking our kids to the zoo. So I hope you also enjoy some time with your family, and looking forward to next steps through our talent acquisition manager. So have a great weekend. All right. So thanks, everyone. Because of time, I think we are 1 hour and 33 minutes after we started. So pretty much spend 1.5 hours here. We'll go straight into our, our grading rubric, and we'll invite our, pretty much our scoring team here. They'll provide some few feedbacks, and we'll go from there. So if you are ready, probably I'll give everyone like about 5 minutes, go over. I know it was structured like 3 different sections from the hiring, from the talent acquisition or the recruiting team, then the hiring manager, and also the senior director. So we can use that phased approach and provide some feedback for the initial stage, which was the, the talent acquisition or the hiring team. So I don't know if maybe Michael is ready to provide some feedback, or let me go through here. I'm going through the chat here to see.
right. So whilst our judges are waiting to hop
just
on.
start getting ready. Yeah.
Great job, Michael. So Michael was just put on the spot.
Yep.
Michael didn't know this was coming. Right. Now, for the program, everybody will have the opportunity to prep. So you get the job descriptions way ahead of time, and it's going to be more tailored. Today, we did it more general, just to see the flow. Now, during the program, it's going to be more tailored to a specific job description. So you come prepped for that specific job description, right? But what Michael was going through was just, although there were some few technical stuff in there, but general interview questions. Why do you want to work for us? Why should we employ you over everybody else? How do you handle conflicts and stuff like that, right? So those are, interview questions that you're going to get everywhere. Now, if you were listening to Michael and going through there are some things that you're pointing out. Oh, okay, I would have said this way, or not that wouldn't have said it that way, or yeah, that was a good answer. For everybody who's participating in this, you have that opportunity learning from how he's delivering. And then I saw somebody put in the chat, you go by the STAR method, right? So that will help you to have some situational awareness yourself. And then also for people in the hot seat, now you get the real world experience, right? But the best part is during your interview itself, your actual interview for a job, you're not going to have about 68 to 70 people listening in and, kind of grading you on their own levels. It's going to be just you and one or two or three people. So that takes some stress off you. But if you find yourself in this situation, then we are prepping you with some, a little bit more stress, being aware that everybody is listening in. But then everybody is also going to get a chance of sitting in the hot seat, right? So it's a very safe learning environment for you to grow, for you to learn and fail, right? So for Mike, great job. I just put Mike on the spot for a reason, and he knows why. For the answers that you gave, for the questions, they were not a bit too much, but for the answers that you gave, great. I mean, just off the hook, being put on the spot. I don't think many people will be able to maybe survive that, but you pulled through really well. Now, for the grading, for our judges, you can score 1 to 5 because we didn't go all the way, all guns out. So we are not doing the 1 to 10. We're doing just 1 to 5. And this is just on delivery, right? And how answers were structured. That is what we are looking at. So for me, for Michael, for the 3 stages, for the first stage with the HR side, I will give Michael 3.5 over 5, so 3.5 out of 5. For the second stage, for the second interview, I'll give you 4 out of 5. For the last stage, I'll give you 3.9 out of 5, right? And that is really good for being put on the spot without any prep. And reasons for this is, yes, some of the, your stuff. I'm looking at the delivery. So the communication, the delivery side. And the delivery, always if you go with the STAR method, situation, task, action, results, you don't talk too much, right? And everybody talks too much. I can ask you, tell me about yourself, and you are going to talk too much. And the talking too much is not because you just like talking, but it means your answers are not structured and you didn't practice your lines. And for Michael, I mean, he didn't know this was coming. So he's just going off other prep that he's done, right? So he did really well, right? But if you practice your lines, I'm just going to speak about 3 things. My name is this. This is my, experience. And these are the projects that I've worked on, or this is what I can do in relation to what they are looking for. And that's it. But if you don't practice your lines, then, you are going to keep going. And if you go with the STAR method, you are always structured, right? So what was the situation? What was the action? What was the task? What was the action? What was the results? Because employers are looking more for results. Yes, you did a lot of stuff. What was the results? Right. Just like if you are looking at any movie, oh, this happened, that happened, that happened. What was the end of the movie? Or is it a sad movie? Is it a happy movie? Is it? And employers are looking for a happy movie. So everything that you did, all the struggles that you went through for a project, at the end of the day, were you successful at the end? how did that help your company, right? How did it contribute to your the overall mission and vision of the company? So that is what they are looking for, right? So always the result is key. But if you don't structure it, situation, task, action, results, sometimes you talk about the situation and tax and you just leave it as that. The results part is not going to come, right? And that is what they are looking for. The whole story you are telling, that is what they are, waiting to hear, right? So that will be my scoring for Michael. Now, other judges, Gabriel, you can also give your take on this, and then we go to Ike and we go to Michael, your boy. And then Michael MC will give his final take on this, and it will be about wrapping up. So, Gabriel, if you are trying to speak, you are muted. I'm not sure if Gabriel fell off, and he should still be on there. Okay, so whoever is ready. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think we are having some issues with Gabriel. So I don't know if Mike is ready. If Mike, you're not, I can probably step in. I'll give you like about 10 to 15 seconds in Mike is not.
Michael is ready.
Michael
Yes,
is
go ahead,
ready.
Michael.
Yeah, I'm ready. Yes, yeah. So I think it was pretty good. I mean, Mike came in, swinging, came in strong. Yeah, and I do prep with Mike all the time, so I was expecting a little bit when it comes to the form. Definitely for the technical, functions, yes, he did, go there. He did have it all, but then definitely yes, it's a little bit more work to be done on the form and on the presentation. But then it makes sense because he didn't know this was coming, so he was just thrown into the lions den. So yeah, which makes perfect sense. So for the first part for HR, yeah, I would say 3 because I was expecting him to just level set with the hiring manager. So you come in, you tell him your experiences, right? Some of the core functions that you currently manage in your current role. So you could have just let him know, hey, like currently, this is my name, this is my, the area that I currently manage. You could have mentioned auditing, creating awareness and ability management. So once you level set, then you can go in and break down all those functions. Like, it sounded like he was all over the place with that explanation about just tell me about yourself. So I'm gonna give him 3 for that. And for the second part, I'll give him 4 and also 4 for the chair stage because technically he was there, but it was just about a form. So I'm not gonna be able to give him a 5 on those. So yeah, pretty much, yeah, pretty strong. He came in strong with not knowing what was gonna come out. Like he didn't know he was gonna be, thrown in to just do this. So I'll say yeah. So 3, 4, and 4 for me.
Wow, thank you so much, Michael. My namesake, a lot of mics here, right? So thank you so much. The next person, maybe we'll take one more, then we'll probably wrap it up with my observations as well. But yeah, I couldn't agree more with Dr. Edu and also my colleague Mike here. You did excellent. You just came in, firing from all cylinders, and yeah, you did an exceptionally great job. Like Dr. Edu said, not everybody can be put on the spot and do exactly what you did. So yeah, I'll give it up for I don't know if Gabriel is still here. If not, we will pivot to the other judge. If not, I can wrap it up real quick and we will call it.
Okay. I'm here, so Isaac here.
Yeah,
So,
Isaac, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. So with me, I think he did a good job. I like the way he take his time, one, and also how he asked for clarification if he don't get the question. Yeah, most people will not ask; they just go ahead and make mistakes. But there was too much. When you are being too much, you get them confused. So they lose interest in listening to you. And like the other Michael said, tell me about yourself. Yeah, with the recruiter, I'll give him a 3 on that. I agree with Michael because I was looking for you to, talk about yourself, your previous experiences, not in much technical, like Doctor said, those people, like Michael said, they are not technical people. So pick some things from the job description and then, talk about it, your training or training awareness you've held, people you work with, stakeholders, your years of experience. And also when it comes to the control aspect too, I know that you did a good job on that. I'll give you a 3 on that as well. But mostly when you're talking about it, like, he's talking about control. You have to know your control design and effectiveness. And then talking about how you will help mitigate those risks. I think there was a part strategy. With I think, yeah, with that I'll give him a 3, and also the other one 3, and the final one when it talks about the tool, helping with the tool, I'll give him a 3 as well. So yeah, because there are too many tools out there. I think you did talk about SIM tool. When you are trying to bring in a tool, you have to know it's a process steps, right? So you have to know from the beginning to the end. But it looks like you were talking about onboarding a vendor, which you have not actually go through the outsourcing, looking at which one you guys want to do. Is the tool actually going to be doing what you guys want and all that? So I think for me, that's it for me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Isaac. I like to call him Ike. Appreciate your time as well. So because of time, I don't know that Tedo will probably wrap it up and I'll just provide my final comments. So thank you so much, Mike. This was exceptional. Honestly, you joined like about 5 minutes and you were just put on a hot seat. Not everybody will have the courage and be able to think outside the box on their feet and provide that level of detail. So for me, that Tedo always tells me I'm very empathetic. I have a different personality. I'll give you 4.5 across the board just because I'm just me, right? You did an exceptional job because I wasn't expecting you talking about all of that. So yeah, great job. Like you said, myself, Dr. Du, and the team here will just commit ourselves to helping you fine tune what we think will help you. I always talk about people have their strength. And I always use the word weakness, right? I always say area of opportunity, right? Because everybody has a strength and people will say weakness, but me, I talk about area of opportunity. We've identified some few area of opportunities that I'm going to commit myself and my colleague, Michael Yeboah and Dr. We are going to help you out. And I'm sure within a very short time, you'll be telling the whole team here that you've landed your first job. So thank you so much, Mike. This was excellent. I appreciate you stepping up and providing all these details. And I hope everybody else here, there's 68 people here, you learned something today. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We just wanted you to know and have a feel of how it's going to look like. And because of time, yeah, I'll have Dr. Du provide some final words and we'll wrap it up for tonight. And next time, we'll try and see if we can get one feedback from the audience. And also, before we do, I think, Mike, you've earned the right to provide one last comment or anything before Dr. Du wraps us up. So since you did an exceptional job, Mike, you have earned the right to provide, your last few comments.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to say thank you to the whole team, Dr. Du, and all of you for the opportunity. This is just rare, and not everybody will get this chance. So I just thank you for the opportunity provided. And on the lighter side, I would say I hear everything you said, and even if me myself, if I'm to be a judge on myself, I wouldn't be giving those scores that you're giving. I would even have given myself lower grades. So I know I should do a lot better. So thank you for the honest feedback. So thank you very much.
All right.
Absolutely.
Michael, so you did exceptionally well, simply for the fact that you were just put on the spot, right? And this came out of nowhere. Just so all that because you were just thrown in there, right? So you just have to come up with something. So I've done some prep with Michael also as well. And the reason why I put Michael on the spot is very soon Michael is going to be one of the judges. Very, very, very soon Michael is going to be one of the judges. So, and to be a judge, it means you've gone through the whole entire process, you've landed your role. And, I can tell you for a fact, Michael is going to join the other Michaels, right, very soon. Now, the link to join the arena has been posted. The arena is $89 a month. It's a subscription, so something below $100, $89 a month. And it's at that price point because we want everybody here and everybody, within the community to be able to join. The goal is the learning piece of it. And there are sessions where we are going to go through how to actually break down the questions and to answer the questions. right? So yes, we will always going to put somebody in the hot seat, but we will have more time during the arena, session. So even if you're in Eretmis, you do one-on-one job placement. It is not going to be as the arena, because for your one-on-one job placement, we're not going to have 2 hours for you just going through interview questions, right? Sometimes, we can take you like an hour asking you, going back and forth, but always here it's an opportunity for you, even if you're not going to an interview, to get the repetitions in, to get the practice. So when you are put on the spot, a recruiter calls you and say, hey, I just want to talk to you real quick to see if this is a good fit for you. Before, you don't push them away and say, no, I want to talk to you tomorrow. It's just a recruiter, right? They just want to see what you're about, what you can do, what you've done. Then they'll move on to the hiring manager. So if you put them up, guess what? They're calling somebody else, right? So if you need days to prep for a recruiter, and you are doing it wrong, you have to join the arena, to get prep before, so once you are well prepped, you know how to answer your soft skills questions, you know how the structures go, you know your lines, then the only thing that you have to do in terms of your prep is the technical aspect of the job description. But if you don't do this and you just prep with the technical aspect of the job description, then when you go to the interview, you are going to, the other ones, you are not going to do as you would have done if you were weekly practicing and hearing other people, your other colleagues go through and, fail and pass and fail and pass. And so you learn from others. You're also going to learn from your own dates that you are going to put in the hot seat. Victor, please go ahead.
Dr. Edu, thank you very much for this opportunity. Though I was a little busy, I was listening to the interview and all that is on point. I really appreciate. But I want to chip something. Michael started by, he had the experience of 4 years, and I know it's a simulation thing. But what if somebody who has not gotten a role, who doesn't have experience, maybe entry level, zero experience, having an interview, such kind of interview? So how would the person present? How would the person, go about it? Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not sure. Is like, Victor, have you been in any of our programs, GRC internship, or are you in any of the programs?
Not yet.
Okay.
I needed
No,
the information
no, that's fine.
I wanted information to get enrolled. Yeah.
No, that's fine. So, like, I'm asking because, like, we've discussed this a couple of times. Now, Victor, let me help you out here. So, and I think there was a post this week. I made a post in our platforms. So everybody in cybersecurity, when they started, regardless of what their background was, you could have been in IT for 100 years. The role that you are in now, when you got it, was the first time you had that role. So what am I trying to say? Nobody started cybersecurity with 6 years of experience. It means if you 6 years of experience, then it means you are in a second role or a third role. So everybody's very first role, if we are talking about you working in cybersecurity for this number of years to count as your years of experience, then nobody would have qualified for their first role. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Yeah. Like, let's take it outside cybersecurity. Any job, any role that you are in now, if this is your first role, what made you qualify? If we are looking at just you doing that job for this number of years to qualify, then nobody will qualify. But then there are things that you can do to prepare you for that role that will equally help you to do the role. Right.
Okay.
So that is why you can get in a role. You've not worked in cybersecurity for 5 years, but you can get in a role and if you are looking at what you can do as your years of experience, you have more years of experience than people who've been there for years in cybersecurity. Right. So when we talk about, and that of the table, when we talk about your years of experience, they are not only looking at technical cybersecurity skills. That is not the only thing they are looking at. They are looking at it's a combination of your technical and non-technical skills. That is the combination of your years of experience. Right. Okay. So if you are looking for a cybersecurity manager role, and you look at the job description and it's talking about, well, we need somebody with 5 years of experience. Okay. Now they break it down when it comes to the skills. Yes, you have to be familiar with these frameworks. You have to know this. So they list some of the technical stuff. And then the next in the list will be great leadership skills, great skills managing stakeholders, communication skills, excellent presentation skills, oral, managerial, project management skills. Now, your project management skills, your leadership skills, that together with the technical skills, a combination of which is what they classify to be the 5 years of experience. Because what are employers really looking for? Are they looking for the years of you just being in cybersecurity, or they are looking for the skills you are bringing to the table? Now, it's the skills, but how do they measure the skills? They measure it by years of experience. So when they say years of experience, it is assumed that if you have these skills and you've practiced these skills for this number of years, then at least you can do what we want you to do in this role. So, but people take it literally as if you've not worked in cybersecurity itself for 5 years, then you don't have the experience. That is not what employers are looking for, right?
Okay.
What they are looking for is you have the knowledge and skills to do the job. But how do they quantify that? The only way they can quantify that is by saying years of experience. So if you've done, just like if you're employing a driver, right? You say, I want somebody with 5 years of experience. Now, if I come to you and my driver's license, I had my driver's license for the past 7 years, it's assumed I have 5 years of driving experience. But do I really have 5 years of driving? Yes, I've had it and that is the same thing. Somebody has been in cybersecurity for 5 years, but they are barely surviving, right? Somebody who is a student in cybersecurity can do more than somebody. So let's not get in that space of I have to work in cybersecurity for 5 years. Then nobody is qualified for any role in cybersecurity if we look at it that way, because the role everybody got in, that was the first time they were. So maybe you had you were in IT before, so you did networking and some stuff. So other areas prepared you, and you added you did some training on top of that, and that is what you use as leverage to get in that role, and you were able to function in that role. But that was your first time, right? And everybody in cybersecurity, their first role was their first time. So what prepares you for the role is not your years of repetition, but there are so many things that can build you up that makes you equally qualified. So when we say, like the example that I gave, if you are a manager in any company for 10 years and you've done some cybersecurity training, you've worked on projects, and I'm really big about working on projects, because if you've not done anything, then you are going to shoot yourself in the foot. Now you are well prepped on the cybersecurity side, technical side, you are excellent. You can do anything and everything. Now you are looking for a cybersecurity manager role. Do you think your years of experience as a manager counts as years of experience in cybersecurity, or it doesn't count? It counts, right?
Oh.
So yes, that is why if you just take it on face value, well, they want 5 years of just look at it. Even within cybersecurity, if you've worked in cybersecurity for 5 years and now there's a new role in your company, you've been working as a cybersecurity analyst, and there's a new role for VP of cybersecurity or director of cybersecurity, and you want to apply for that role, are you qualified? How long have you been a VP or a director of cybersecurity? 0. Yeah, but you've been working in cybersecurity. So what makes you qualify for that role? You see what I mean? So does that mean even if you get in cybersecurity and you are doing security analyst, you are going to do security analyst for the rest of your life? You have to move up. But what qualifies you for that role that you are going to be in? You've never had that role. So if you are just looking for, yes, you should have been in this role for these years to say that you have the years of experience, or to call it, then nobody is going to move anywhere, and nobody can even get in any career, right? But there is a lot of skills and knowledge that you are bringing that will prep you for example, if you take nurses, the nurse that you're going to meet at the hospital, if that is her first job, So what made her qualified? Yeah, she went to nursing school. She passed the state board. Has she been a nurse before? Yeah, she did her, internships and stuff in the hospital while she was. But has she been a nurse, a full-blown nurse for this number of years? No. But is she qualified to do the job? Can she do the job? Yes. You see, like what I mean, because the training she went through at school, the hands-on she did while she was school and going to the hospitals, that prepped her to be in that role and to be able to work. So when she gets a job, it's easy. I mean, she'll be able to do anything and function. Still, although she's still going to learn on the job because there's something that you are always going to learn on the job. But your preparation into the job is what matters. It's not somebody saying, I have 10 years of cybersecurity experience. Somebody has 10 years of cybersecurity experience. You go to an interview with that person and they'll pick you over that person. So years of repetition, or even and for folks, there are a lot of people working in cybersecurity here who can tell you somebody will be in a role, all they are doing is just one thing or two things. And if you continue to do that, you don't do any courses, you don't improve yourself, you get rusty, you forget your fundamentals, your basics. And when you have to go look for a new role, then it becomes a problem, right? It's like you never worked in cybersecurity. So, Victor, that is how to think about it. Don't take it literal that when they say, well, 5 years, then, right. Yes, 5 years is a combination of your technical and non-technical. That is why, for everybody who's been to a cybersecurity interview on here, you can call my bluff. If it is just the technical that you are looking for, you should have the technical competencies of working in cybersecurity. Then why do they do soft skills interviews as well? If you pass the technical, then they should just give you the role. But you can pass your technical cybersecurity interview and still fail your soft skills interview. It means your years of experience you're looking for is not just technical. And the non-technical, you don't have to work in cybersecurity for 5 years to be a good manager or to have a good presentation skills or to, have good communication skills. You can get that from anywhere, right? So hopefully that helps. Abdul, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, sir, for your clarification. I think this matter or the question that the guy asked is something that is bothering most of us here. And then, yeah, so I'm glad that you clarify it a bit further. But what I wanted to say is that what if maybe like let's say a nurse transitioning into cybersecurity, and then she might not, okay, I might not have the techniques, but then she has a soft skills that she has earned for so many years. So she's gonna base on that experience to explain herself that she's fit for the job. Maybe if the job is about customer service or kind of stuff. Her her soft skills in the nursing should be able to help her in the next role in cybersecurity. Is that what you mean?
Okay. So, like I said, when they say years of experience, they are looking at your technical and non-technical, right? So your non-technical, most schools are not teaching soft skills, right? And soft skills you can teach, but also you have to practice, right? Unless, of course, if you come to Eretmis and you are taking part in some of our internship programs, then you actually get to work with people, solve conflicts, and so you are really polishing up on your non-technical or soft skills. But moving from, if you're a career switcher, coming from any role, truck driver, nursing, whatever, you have some transferable soft skills already, but you have to polish up on the technical side of cybersecurity. You cannot just, because like I said, it's a combination of technical and non-technical. So if you have non-technical, that is not enough to work in cybersecurity. You need the technical also. And the technical is not coding or any of that. That is not what I'm referring to. But you need to have a cybersecurity foundation. So have some training, work on some cybersecurity projects. That is what is going to help you combine that with the soft skills you have or the non-technical and present yourself for any role. Because if you go to an interview, you go to a technical interview and a non-technical interview. Those are the two main ones. Right. So you can do well. If you don't do well in the technical, they're not even going to move you to the non-technical. And if you do well in technical and you have no non-technical or soft skills, then you don't get a job. Because you are going to work with a team, you are going to work with people. So if you can't work with people, they don't need your technical skills. They will take somebody who is half proficient in the technical side and 100% or 120% on the non-technical or on the soft skill side. Because they can work with people, they will get a job done. Right. So it's not just, you can't just transition from any career with just your non-technical and forget about the technical skills. So it means you need some training. You need to work on some cybersecurity projects, right? And this is where most people get it wrong. If you just take some training, it's just theory, and you write some certifications, and you think you are going to combine that with your non-technical and go get a job, you are kidding yourself. Because in cybersecurity, it's about doing. It's not about reciting facts. So you are going to do, right? And what are you going to do if you've never done anything? That is why we always keep stressing about hands-on, working on some projects, right? And working on some projects is not just using a tool to do a scan or any of that. It goes beyond that, right? Your actual work goes beyond the use of tools, right? So hopefully that helps. All right. Any other questions on the same lines about your technical, non-technical years of experience? Abraham, please go ahead.
Yes, good evening to everyone, and thank you, Dr. Edu. Dr. Edu, I got one interview the last time, but I failed. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a chance to get in touch with Eretmis to actually help me to help me prep. But what I've learned through the encounter with the hiring manager, in fact, it was a panel of 3, was that you should, going forward, pay so much importance on soft skills. That's how that's what I observed from the encounter with them. I saw that my soft skills, I was actually not coming across confidently with clarity, even though I had done some hands-on internship and workshop with Eretmis, but I was not coming across confidently, and I couldn't. I just received the mail from them that they are moving on with someone else, and they're actually not moving on with. But I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. It means I should up my game. I should continue to learn and try to polish up on my soft skills. Communication. In fact, communication is key. I had these space fillers, plenty of them, and so they were nodding. They were just nodding. But in fact, when I recorded it, and then when I played back, I observed that I was actually not confident in that interview at all. And going forward, I should prep on my communication skills. And so this year, Interview Arena is going to go a long way to help people, especially those who be landing interviews in a short while. So thank you very much for this initiative.
You're welcome, Abraham.
Hello. Doctor.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, good, Doctor. Like what he just said now, I think that is an issue. I have series of interview with confidence, and I do very well. But at the end of the day, they say move on with another person. So this one, that is why I came in. Sometimes you might think you know it all, but you don't know it all. I say, let me come back to you, Doctor, so that I might have an intensive with my resume and job description. I need an intensive to prepare for the interview. I have it on 20th of March. I can't do it alone, but I need to somebody that let me go along with people that I come from. I think I will do better this period.
Okay. Yes. And so for all your interviews, if it is possible, kindly record it, right? So once you're done, play it yourself, rate yourself, and then you bring it back to us also. And maybe for the arena, we can play it for everybody to listen, and then we all grade and break it down. And so that is how you learn and grow. Because yes, you have the hands-on, you've done the work, you have the knowledge, but then your delivery, that your delivery, you can go in confident, and then they ask you a question and you trip, and then now you are on the edge of your seat shaking the whole time. And that is where, and when you are shaking, it's obvious. It will be in your voice, it will be in your delivery. You forget your lines. But if you've done this over, we will always put you on the spot, like we did with Michael, put you on the spot. But you have chance to prep. So even with the preparation and stuff, so that really takes all that fear away. Because if you have an interview, it's a normal Tuesday, right? Abraham went to an interview with a panel of 3. That would be nothing to you because you are always in a panel of about 20. 20 people are there, actively listening and critiquing what you are talking about. So if you go anywhere and it's even 3 or 4 or 5 panelists, it's really nothing much of an issue because you do this on weekly basis, right? So, and if you are in the Eretmis family, you've done any of our courses and training and you're experiencing any issues with interviews and stuff, don't do this alone. Don't try to do it by yourself. You have the resources, you have the people to help. So, and all these people are the mentors, all the mentors are all the judges are people who went through this and they are on the other side. So when they tell you, no, do it this way, do it that way, they've been there, they've done that. They've had a lot of no's and they polished up and they got a yes, right? And all with the help of Eretmis and all the other resources that we had. Then they're also coming back as resources, right? So, and you're not going to have this anyway. You're not going to have this in college. You can go do a PhD, master's. You're not going to have this community anywhere and anywhere online with everybody selling cybersecurity, whatever, right? So take advantage of this. Use it. It is going to help you achieve your goal. And even when you do land your role, don't just disappear into the sunset and go hang out because now you have your money and stay within the community. That is how you grow, right? That is you learn more stuff, you grow. Because your goal is not to get 180, 150, 140 job and you're like, oops, that's it, I'm done. You can make 200, you can make 300. So don't just be too happy because you're 150. In 3 years, your 150 will be like 90K, right? So the goal is for you to grow. So in the next 4 years, 5 years, we have a lot of CISOs, a lot of director of cybersecurity here. And now we have a lot of managers where we want to hit directors, CISOs, right? That higher level. So when we meet as a community, there are a lot of, movers and shakers in the cybersecurity space also here as well, right? If there were any other questions, you can kindly bring it up before we wrap up. So the link has been posted. Yes, go ahead, Abdul. Please go ahead.
I wanted to say that after your internship, and then maybe you write your paper. What next should you prepare as a student?
After internship, you are going to start applying to jobs.
Oh, okay.
Right. So even halfway, we encourage you to start applying halfway before we even finish.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What about CV review? You have to. The CV is part of it.
Oh yeah. So like all that is done inside the internship before you are done. Yes.
You're done. Okay. All right.
Yes. Lama, please go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Du. I have a question about the program membership. Yes. So how many interviews would be per month? Is it every Friday?
We meet 4 times. Yes, it's going to be on Thursdays. Thursday 7 to 7:30, 7 to 8:30. Yes, every week.
Okay, so every week there is a chance for whoever joined the program membership to be interviewed?
Oh, yes. So let's say we are 20 in a group, we are 20 in the program or even 100, right? Like the priority will be given to people who are going to interview that week or the following week. But then every week we will try to do at least 1 or 2 people will be in the hot seat, right? So but for somebody going to an interview, everybody will have the job description. So, okay, this is how they prep, this is how and then we put them in the hot seat. But if there are no interviews coming up, then you can volunteer and say, hey, I want to be in the hot seat. And then we put you in the hot seat, right? So I know some people will be a bit, hiding behind everybody else for a little bit before they jump into the hot seat. But at least everybody will get their turn in the hot seat.
Okay, great program, by the way. Like you said, I haven't seen this offered by anybody else, and it's something that a lot of us needed. So thank you for offering it.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Lama. Matthew, Dr. Matthew, please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Adu. Another awesome moment again today. Actually, I couldn't join early enough because I was I was caught up in a couple of things here and there. It's quite interesting, and when I listened to the interview, I kind of picked up a couple of things that some time in the past I've been caught in. So when he was talking, I was actually assessing him from my own side here and waiting for the judges to, come up with the position. And one thing I got from here is the fact that there's a need for you to be voracious in your preparation towards the interview sessions. So it actually gave me kind of a prop towards what I'm going to be doing in the coming days. I'm not saying months, coming days. So once again, I say thank you for this. I would believe in that we're going to benefit, and everyone that comes on the platform, I mean, for this program, will truly benefit from that. Then that said, actually, I was supposed to have, I don't know, I was supposed to have a session with you yesterday, but I don't know what happened. It was a confirmed session, but for some reason, I waited for the call. The call didn't come through, and I didn't know whether to call. So I wasn't too sure if you were busy, so I couldn't have the session. So I don't know if at all something happened.
I
It's
was
only
trying.
one
So,
mistake
yeah, sorry. Mostly, like the sessions are on Zoom, right? So mostly the Zoom sessions, like the Zoom will be open and popped up waiting. But mostly when you don't show up is when we call. But I was tracking your meeting, right? And I'm gonna get back to you. So we are going to discuss your needs for that specific meeting. But all the meetings, and sometimes people wouldn't get the Zoom link for whatever reason, maybe to go to their spam. But the meetings are always on Zoom, right? So,
Okay.
but we can also talk over the phone. But I will reach out to you, and we are going to talk.
Okay, no problem.
Yes.
All right. So once again, thank you very much, Dr. Appreciate
Oh,
you.
you're welcome. You're welcome, Dr.
Okay.
Machi.
Okay.
All right,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Appreciate everybody's time. And Mike, this program is going to be, we are going to have all the judges, a whole variety of judges. Michael is going to be leading this. So we can't wait to have everybody together, and we'll probably start tentatively, our first session is going to be on this coming Thursday, right? So the link has been posted. It will be posted on all the platforms, sent via email, so you can go ahead and join. And before we wrap up, Victor, please go ahead. You can ask your last question.
Thank you, Doctor. Please, I just wanted to give some space for other people to ask questions. For me to enroll for this program, when is it starting? Is it ongoing? How long and all that? So I'm sorry to ask it here. I don't know if I'm correct. So just...
for the arena?
No, for a
The internship.
GRC. Yeah, GRC. Yeah.
Oh, it's for 10 weeks. Is 4,500. We have different installment payment options. And the first cohort, the current cohort, our first meeting is this Saturday. The next one is going to be starting, I think, 5th or 4th of May. So if you can join this one, then you can join the one coming up. No, I think it's 28th of May is when 28th of April is when the next cohort is starting, right? So if you can join this one, then you can join that one. But this one, we started last week, but our first meeting is this weekend. So we meet on Saturdays, 10. Mostly the new classes are 10, and the seniors are pushed to the side, so they have some sleeping time before they join the Saturday sessions. Yes, but this will go on it goes on for 10 weeks, right? So it's project after project after project after project, and we expect you to come in with some background. That is why it is mostly, if you are totally new, we encourage you to start from the entry level course, build a foundation before you jump into the internship and workshop, right? But if you think you have what it takes, then you can jump into the internship and workshop, and it's project after project, all the way through the 10 weeks, right? And then we help with the resume and interview prep, right? And then as well. But whilst you're in, you can still join the arena, polishing up and prepping yourself. So whilst you are gaining the knowledge and skill to be able to do the job, you're also polishing up on your delivery, right? Delivery, structuring your answers and all that. That is also very, very, very important because in your organizations, the people who earn more, they are not the most technical people. They are the people who can communicate well. They have really good soft skills. So here you are building your soft skills, public speaking, answering questions, thinking on your feet, right? Because even if you prep, we will ask you some questions that is going to be off the job description. So you just have to, be fast on that. It's like being part of a debate team. If you don't rehearse and practice, if you're actually going into any debate, your team is going to lose because you have to be able to think on your feet. And thinking on your feet doesn't mean you can't think or you're not a critical thinker. But if you've not practiced doing that, it doesn't come to you easy, right? So after the fact is when you're thinking, oh, I should have said this. To be too late after that, that will be when you are in your car going home, not during the interview, right? So hopefully that helps, Victor. And you can always schedule an appointment and do one-on-one. And we are going to discuss any needs.
Okay, that's fine. I will do appointment one-on-one with you. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome, Victor. And I appreciate everybody's time. Michael, any last words before we wrap up?
No, that should be it for me. I don't know if that was for Michael and name. I think he already
that
took
is
his
for you.
last words. Yeah. So no, thanks everyone. The goal is to make sure we prep you all and bridge the gap between you and your next offer. So that's exactly what we are looking for, and that's our goal. And hopefully, we'll be able to achieve that. So yeah, get on board and yeah, let's get it started. We have a lot in store for you. Thank you and have a good evening.
All right, everyone. Have a great and wonderful weekend. And we are going to meet next week, same time for Cyber Chat. But Arena starts on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.